Matt?
Yeah?
Matt, it's podcast 34. How do you feel?
I'm feeling pretty good about it.
I feel good.
What's awesome is we've had some fantastic listeners this week.
Welcome to all our new followers.
The Interplanetary Podcast. The exploration of space for the benefit of all mankind. Your hosts here in London, Matthew Russell and Jamie Franklin.
We must thank Ars Technica, and in particular Eric Berger, for giving us a shout out.
Absolutely. Cheers, Eric.
That's been absolutely fantastic. Makes it all worthwhile.
You know, we always knew we'd do well, didn't we, Matt? I mean, from school.
Oh, yeah. The moment I was born, I knew I was special. I knew I was going to be a space podcaster.
Started from the bottom, now we're here, as the US rappers say.
Aye.
Apologies to any rappers listening. So, Matt, what have we got coming up in the show? We've got a really good week of space news.
There's quite a lot going on in space this week, it turns out. Well, I think there always is. Do you know what? It's always stuff.
We probably just don't know about it.
Yeah. But I thought a really interesting one to start with is one of the most famous space people, old Buzz Aldrin.
BA, the legend.
The legend is Buzz. Second only to Buzz Lightyear.
What's he been saying?
He's calling for the retirement of the International Space Station as quickly as possible.
Right, now if I remember correctly, this is because he's saying that the $3.5 billion a year that it costs to run the space station, that we should put that towards Mars missions.
Going to Mars.
Is that right?
Yeah, going to Mars. And I don't think he's saying get rid of the space station. He's just saying hand it over to sort of commercial companies as quickly as possible,
right,
so that NASA can concentrate on getting people to Mars.
Right.
You know, Aldrin's written several books about going to Mars. I've read one of them, and it's really, really interesting. But he's saying, yeah, get rid of that $3.5 billion, hand it over to companies like Bigelow Aerospace and a few others. And get
so because you've read a book on his about going to Mars, what's his general stance? Well, how does he see it working?
Well, the cornerstone of what Aldrin has are these things called cyclers, which are really which are actually really interesting. So it's kind of like an orbit or a spacecraft trajectory that sort of takes it past Earth and Mars on a regular basis, and you hardly need any fuel to kind of maintain this kind of cyclical. I guess it's a figure of 8, but I've never actually seen the orbit kind of drawn out. But there's quite a few of them, and one of the most famous is this Aldrin cycler that goes between Mars and the Earth. And and it's just a really, really good way of sending crew and cargo back and forth, because it takes 146 days, so you can do these kind of transfers in 146 days between Mars and Earth. And I think in 15 years you get 7 of these cycles, or something like that. So it's a really, really convenient, and you can build something really big with massive radiation shielding and stuff like that. It doesn't matter how big it is, because once it's out in space, it's kind of good to go. So that's the.
It still blows my mind. You know, you mentioning 146 days, and I know it's a really long way. But imagine, you know, like how annoying it is when you forget. You forget something at home when you leave your house, you get on the tube to go to work, you go into town, and you're like, I left my Oyster Pass at home. Imagine if you left something on Mars.
No, well,
it'd be a while before you got it back, wouldn't it?
Well, these days it's hard to imagine any journey taking 146 days. But I guess this is the equivalent of people going to Australia and the New World back in the days of Huygens and Cassini, the original Huygens and Cassini. So it's, you know, and that's an actual fact. It cost them more money back in those days to do those kind of sea trips than it would do to do Buzz Aldrin's plan. And he's had this plan, by the way, since the Mars cycler. He's had since 1985, and he basically gave a speech with this the Aldrin cycler, and JPL scientists basically proved that it was confirmed that it was correct, and so it's, you know, not only is he the second man on the moon, he's come up with some really cool ideas, and I think they use Phobos and basically Mars's moon as a kind of staging post as well. I think that's part of Aldrin's plan. But,
and as our mate Bob Richards said, creating something that is, it's just like another commute. Just like before we discovered America.
Yeah.
You can't imagine it, and people would say that it's impossible. But that's just inevitably what it's going to be.
Yeah, so
another commute.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Aldrin's been working on this for ages, and part of the plan is, first of all, you go with a lunar cycler, so that you're getting stuff over to the moon and practicing everything that you need to do. Then try it with an asteroid, and then do one round Venus as well, and then on to Mars in the 2030s.
Wow.
Yeah, and what Aldrin wants is settlers. He wants people to settle on Mars. The one thing he's absolutely adamant about is it shouldn't be like his mission to the moon, which was about flags and footprints. It should be about sustainable plan to stay on Mars. Which actually reminds me of another post that I saw, that some architectural students in Calgary were doing these brilliant structures for sort of Mars habitations. If you see that, just do a little Google image search for Calgary Mars habitations. They look really, really cool. Really, really cool.
Oh, wow. We need to put some of these pictures up on the blog, along with the cycler. I mean, there must be some great images of that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I must admit, I didn't make much of an effort, but we'll bung that in. We'll bung that in the blog. But yeah, it's interesting, the cyclists.
When are you going to start making an effort with this podcast? I mean, come on, we've got new followers now.
I know. Okay, yeah. We'll make sure it's in there. It's going to be awesome. No. Here's one thing that NASA's kind of replied to this thing about retiring the space station, and they insist that the space station is part of their plans for Mars. So
interesting. How so?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to guess they're sort of saying that they're learning lots and lots and lots from people being on the space station.
Yeah.
And it's really, really important science that's part of their planning for Mars. So...
I assume if they handed that over to a private company, then they would have no say on the experiments that would go on,
Exactly. Well, it's their commercial, so they're not ready to retire the ISS just yet. It's pretty interesting stuff.
If the ISS got handed over to a private body... I wonder what would happen in the ISS. I like to think that it wouldn't just be people doing novelty stuff that didn't mean anything.
Oh well,
but I bet a load of that would happen.
Well, it's whatever's commercial, isn't it? I guess and it goes back.
What would make the most money?
Yeah, and it's always that frightening thing of people spend a lot more money on Halloween costumes than they do on the American space program, for example.
Oh, it makes me feel sick.
God.
But I think you could really imagine it becoming. I mean, we're talking about the moon, obviously, a lot recently for people going there to visit. But, if a private company took over the space station, then you could totally see that as a very quick way of generating huge amounts of revenue in the public being able to buy a ticket to go and visit the space station and experience that zero gravity and that view. I mean, that would be something that wouldn't be too hard to achieve.
Do you know what? I think people have been talking about this for 50 years, ever since the Apollo missions. But maybe we are on the brink of it. There's a certain kind of reticence in me that doesn't want to sort of say, in the next 10 years people are going to go to the moon and do all this, because we've kind of had 50 years of it, haven't we? Of almost disappointment. But It might, that whole thing, if SpaceX really are going to be taking people around moon.
I think this is the reason why it's become part of the conscious again, because we are suddenly talking about getting people into space. Not that that's never been a language, but I think now we know that it is going to happen. It's not just a dream anymore. I think I think it is something that you can start talking about with a realistic view of. People can start going to the space station, if that was private, which there's no reason to think that it would be anytime soon, certainly from NASA's mouth.
They've had private, they've had private people on the space station before.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, Andrew Lloyd Webber's ex-wife, what's she called? She was going to go up, but hasn't. But there's
I didn't know that. So they've taken billionaires up there. I assume, that have just funded part of missions.
Yeah, in fact, there's even been a British astronaut that's gone up to the International Space Station. He's British by birth, but went up as an American, I think. But he paid to go up. I can't remember.
Do you know how much he paid?
I think it was just over 100 million or something. I think it's almost like twice what.
That's not,
I think
bad.
Basically, Roscosmos was charging twice what they charge NASA for a seat.
Right.
They've got to train them up and everything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Sarah Brightman, that was it. I was thinking, whatever happened to Sarah Brightman going up onto the International Space Station?
Sarah Brightman.
Yeah.
I'm going to Google it now.
Yeah. she just suddenly didn't go. And I don't know why. I've not heard anything, because there was a delay, and then I've not heard anything about that since.
Right.
I'll tell you what was interesting. When we talk about IEC leads and things like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's kind of like these governing bodies that sort of, govern all those things, like DIN plugs, IEC leads, ISO things. One of them's called the ASTM, that I'd never really heard of before, but it's actually the oldest of... it's older than most of those organisations, and it stands for the American section of the International Association of Testing Materials. But they've recently met because they are trying to standardise new commercial spaceflight.
Right.
So there you go. So that, if the standardising bodies are sort of getting in on the act, that there's a kind of movement that they want to standardise certain things, and they've met for the first time this week. So that's quite interesting at the Commercial Spaceflight Federation in Washington, D.C., as reported by Doug Messier on Parabolic Arc. So yeah, that's
a good couple of words. That
yeah. JAXA.
Matt, I've just googled Sarah Brightman.
Yeah.
And the first story, British soprano Sarah Brightman called off plans for a flight to the International Space Station, citing family reasons. The singer said in a statement on Wednesday. Brightman began training in Russia's Star City in January for the ride aboard a Russian Soyuz capsule and a 10-day stay on the station. And it says here further on, the trip would have cost her about $52 million. So not bad.
She's rich, isn't she?
Not too bad.
That's what happens when you marry a multi-billionaire, I guess.
It's a snip. Yeah, why not go twice? Actually, I'll stay for 20 days.
Yeah, awesome. So,
wow, what else is happening, Matt?
So, what else is happening? For the first time in 20 years, Japan are developing a new rocket engine.
Come on, Japan.
Yes, come on, Japan. It's the LE9, which they're going to stick on their H3 rocket, which should be working by the 2020s.
That's awesome.
Or 2020 itself. And it's going to be about half the kind of price tag of the current rockets.
$88.6 million
a launch. So I guess they're sort of saying that's going to be about more like $40 million a launch. But I guess
that's a good saving.
Yeah, it's a pretty massive one, isn't it? So that should be able to carry pretty heavy loads up, 6.5 tons, which is 60% more than the current H2A rocket, which has been in action.
This is cool. This is cool for two reasons. One, that it's just cool. Mm-hmm. And did you know, Matt, that Japan is my favourite country on Earth?
What? Even more than England, with its meadows and green fields and beautiful bird song and the Lake District. Are you going to recite
a wartime poem? No, I love Old Blighty. That goes as standard.
Okay, yeah.
But outside of England, Japan, it's the one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just so listeners are aware, I love all the peoples of the world and all the countries in the world. I love them all. Although Vilnius in Lithuania was definitely one of my favourites.
You're just trying to be the favourite host of the podcast, which just isn't going to happen. I've got too big a following.
In a recent survey, I was actually the favourite host of the podcast.
Oh, I'm not sure. I'd like to see the peer review research of this survey. fake news.
Oh, one of my favourites.
Yeah.
One of my favourite news stories, one of my favourite pictures of the week, has been a new version of the Crab Nebula.
I'm looking at it right now.
Or Messier Object number 1. Yes, so they've combined loads of the different observatories to create one mega image. So there's a bit of Hubble, bit of Spitzer, bit of our mate Chandra, bit of XMM Newton.
So let's break it down, Matt. So we will have radio, infrared
from the VLA,
visible,
yeah,
ultraviolet from Newton,
yeah,
and X-ray, which is the purple from the Chandra.
Yeah. And you can you can really see the Chandra sort of element of it, because I've done a picture of, in fact, by far the best picture bit of astrophotography I've ever done is a picture of the Crab Nebula, and in fact Patrick Moore showed it on Sky at Night. I'm very proud.
The glory days.
The very, very proud moment, and you can see the neutron star in the middle. Even in my photo from my back garden in suburban London, and but the Chandra X-ray Observatory has added a kind of extra element to it. You can kind of see these jets coming out of it and these shock waves coming out at a different angle, and it's just awesome. So that is such a brilliant thing. And those who don't know, the Crab Nebula is just one of those amazing things in the night sky that way back in sort of 1045, the 11th century, the Chinese, Japanese and Arabian astronomers saw the actual explosion. They actually saw the supernova, and it's close enough that it's one of those ones where it actually kind of ends up being like a kind of second moon in the sky. And that went on for months.
What must they have thought? I mean,
who knows?
Thought was going on?
But it's it's such a massive event. It's quite well documented. And then when astronomers in the 20th century have located the Crab Nebula again, they've kind of they've looked at the expansion and worked out what date it would have been when it first exploded, and it's this magic number 1045. So they know that Crab Nebula is what the Chinese, the Japanese and the Arabians saw way back when.
I tell you what, the stat that just makes my brain hurt is that the explosion would shine as brightly as 400 million suns.
It's just...
Can you even fathom that?
Well, I used to try and fathom it from the Judas Priest song Painkiller, where I believe Painkiller is brighter than 1,000 suns. So this is like orders of magnitude brighter than Judas Priest's Painkiller, which wasn't Nurofen, by the way. or any ibuprofen derivative thereof.
That is worthy of a heavy metal song, isn't it?
Yeah. 400 million suns is almost as many suns as there are in a galaxy. So for like when a star goes supernova, it's almost as bright as the rest of the galaxy put together.
Jeez Louise.
I know, this is...
So if we've got any musicians listening, which I know that there must be tens of you, we want to put it out there. I want you to make a track called 400 Million Suns. Send it in and we'll play it on the podcast. It could be the new intro, Matt.
Oh my God, that'd be brilliant. The stat that I like is the neutron star that's been left behind spins every 33 milliseconds. So,
what?
Well, so imagine a city that weighs as much as a star that's spinning once every 33 milliseconds.
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
Some pretty awesome. There's some pretty awesome powers out there in the universe, aren't there?
And don't write in saying, why wouldn't they get dizzy? We've been through this.
No,
guys. Matt, what's Bill Nye been up to?
Well, I saw Bill Nye on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Yeah,
and he was basically recreating a 1976 episode of The Late Show with Johnny Carson that Carl Sagan did. And it did give me the opportunity to re-watch that Carl Sagan appearance where he basically presents to the world the solar sail.
Awesome.
And of course, the reason why Bill Nye's at the moment is because the light sail is actually very, very close to flying, which is one of the stories we've got this week. Is SpaceX look like they're making some pretty good progress with the Falcon Heavy? Because just so you know, the Planetary Society's light sail is going up on the Falcon Heavy.
So, it is going up on the Falcon Heavy. That's what it's insane.
Yeah, so that's what it's waiting for. So the Falcon Heavy, SpaceX tweeted that this was the tweet. It said, first static fire test of a Falcon Heavy center core completed out at our McGregor TX rocket development facility last week. So there we go. So out in Texas.
Awesome.
They've tested the Falcon Heavy center core, which, if we remember from a few episodes again, Elon Musk was lamenting that it wasn't as easy as he'd first thought.
I love his tweets when he says it's not easy.
Yeah, it turns out that it is rocket science.
Yeah. It really is. Damn it.
21,000 kilograms up into geostationary orbit, or 14,000 to Mars. So
that's incredible. And what's the next most powerful rocket down from the Falcon Heavy?
So that is currently the world's most powerful rocket, the Delta IV. Which remember, like this time last year, how excited I was when we had a Delta IV liftoff.
I do remember.
It was literally about this time last year. Awesome machine.
You were shaking with excitement.
Yeah, can you imagine? I really want. We've got to go to a launch. We've got to go to the Falcon Heavy launch.
2020. Well, it has to happen.
Yeah.
Well, the Dragon launch.
Yeah, the Dragon launch. So in 2020, and this is reported by our friend Eric Berger from Ars Technica. It looks like SpaceX will send 2 Dragons in 2020, and that does make sense. Because if you think how hard it was to get the retro rocket, the sonic, retro propulsion, the center cores landing back on those barges, the first few crashed and burnt. So to be able to do it in one shot at Mars is pretty unlikely, or that he probably doesn't have enough data. So it looks like he's going to be sending 2 Red Dragons to Mars. First one is going to attempt it, and if it fails, hopefully there will be enough data in there that they'll be able to send the second one and make it work, because they've got the necessary data to do this.
Because they will have the data of what went wrong and how to fix it.
Because no one's attempted supersonic retro propulsion as a landing on another planet, and this is in through Martian atmosphere.
You haven't asked me what I've been up to every other Saturday. So never assume. Never assume.
But my assumption is that's, and the burden of proof is with you, my friend.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you're so the supersonic retro propulsion. What's brilliant about landing on Mars is there's only certain places you can land on Mars. You can't land on too higher a bit of Mars, because if you try and land on a sort of like a mountain or something, there's just not enough atmosphere to slow down in. So you've got to land on the kind of lowlands. So that's like a really important. I mean, how on earth do you aim a spacecraft so accurately that it lands at the right place on a speck of, essentially what's a speck of dust? I mean,
your first error there, Matt, was saying how on earth.
Oh yeah,
but I'll forgive you for that.
How in space?
I'll talk to you about the details of exactly how it will work after the show.
Okay, well we're going to an ACE event tonight, aren't we? We're going to an event called Mars Nation, which we'll have a little chat about next week on the show.
We should chat about that next week. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be quite cool. So we're here with Harriet. We're actually at an event called Mars Nation.
We're live. You can hear other stuff.
This is where we
dragged her down to an event where we're trying to solve the problems of mental health in space on the way to Mars. Someone's got to do it, Jamie, and I think that man's you.
Yeah.
No pressure.
With great response. No, you know.
Yeah. So, but we're going to have a quick word with Harriet, because Harriet's going to tell us a little bit what's going to happen at SpaceUP and when it is.
Absolutely.
Yes, so we've got some exciting details for you guys. So really excited to announce SpaceUP London, which is happening on Saturday the 10th of June, hosted at Queen Mary, University of London. So this is a day-long space extravaganza. We're going to have a load of really exciting speakers. We're going to have interactive discussion sessions. We're going to have quick-fire presentations. We've got some really exciting activities planned as well. We've got Flamsteed Astronomy Society. They're going to be doing solar observing over lunchtime. What else do we have? We're going to have some virtual reality headsets coming down from the Square Kilometre Array Telescope guys. They're going to be
We can
bringing
try
them
out
on.
our mental health issues with them.
Exactly, that was one of our solutions, right? Yeah,
Yep.
so there's going to be loads of things going on throughout the day. It's meant to be as dynamic and interactive as possible, so people can bring ideas that they want to talk about in advance, or you can just get inspired on the day, and we will be talking about anything and everything space related.
Is there going to be someone awesome there?
Yes, there's going to be plenty of awesome people there.
For the record, Matt Russell just pointed at himself. That's a disgrace. So, Harriet, where can people go to get tickets?
Yes, so if you check out our Facebook page, Planetary Society London, there's a link there. We've got an event going up online. You can check out our website, which is spaceup.com/London, and you can also search through Eventbrite as well. So we've got a huge range of things planned for the day. All those events I mentioned. Ticket includes lunch, goodie bags, T-shirts for participants as well. So make sure you check out online, and we'll see you on the 10th of June.
Excellent, and we'll stick the links up on the website as well.
That'd be awesome.
10th of June.
10th of June. Been there. You get to meet me. Don't get to meet Jamie because he's off. Where are you off?
I'm in Tuscany.
Tuscany.
Taking Mum to Tuscany.
Taking his mum to Tuscany.
Yeah. Well, enjoy it without me.
We'll try.
We'll try.
I know it'll be hard.
Oh, God, it's going to be awesome without. No, sorry, no, it's going to be. Yeah. I think. Yeah. Thanks very much.
Yeah, great. Thanks very
Awesome.
much.
See you soon. Bye. So it looks like 2 dragons in 2020. That'd be ultra cool, won't it?
It will be double whammy.
I don't know how I feel about like sending something that's quite likely to crash. But of course, I guess NASA are going to be sending loads of experiments as well. So there'll be loads of... NASA will give Elon loads of money so that they can put some experiments on.
Oh yeah, it'd be stupid not to. I think that at least Elon's realistic in that he's like, look, we're gonna send something up. There's a good chance that it might not work the first time, but we'll know enough that the second one will have a really good chance of making it. I like that attitude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's probably the only way to go. I mean, if you look at how...
It has to be.
Well, if you look at how the success record of Mars missions is woefully low. So I think it's a very good call, that. I think it's a very good call. Now...
See, I never liked the phrase... You can't make an omelette without breaking some eggs, which is obviously very apt here.
Yeah.
Because it's the only thing I don't eat, Matt.
You don't eat omelette? Or eggs?
Well, I just don't eat eggs, really.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very peculiar.
So, don't send in any eggs.
Was it Edwina Curry that put you off eggs?
Yes. Scarred me ever since. So, Matt, SpaceX Falcon Heavy, most powerful rocket in the world. We've done that.
Right,
Let's talk about Ariane 5,
shall
we?
So Ariane 5, almost the most powerful rocket in the world.
It's close.
Yeah, finally got to take off. It finally managed its second liftoff this year. And
did it deliver the satellites?
It did, the SGDC and the Koreasat 7.
Nice.
And it got them into their planned orbit. So that's pretty good news for Korea, Philippines, Indonesia, India, and Brazil.
Good work.
In fact, the Brazilian
Good work, team.
You should have seen the Brazilians in the control room. They were super, super excited. It was
really?
Yeah. So it meant a lot to them. And not only have Europeans been in action, so have the Indians with the GLSV. Which has launched a GSAT-9.
Good satellites are tremendous.
There's been a couple of accidents.
Oh, what's happened?
You're going to like this one as well, because, well, I don't know whether like is actually an appropriate thing here, but one of the test articles for SLS has been damaged. So it's the aft dome of a liquid oxygen tank has obviously fallen over or something. And NASA and Boeing are having to set up an independent investigations to see what happened. So it's part of the rocket's 212-foot core stage. So it's obviously a pretty important bit of the rocket, and it meant that the vehicle assembly centre had to be shut down and secured. So it's obviously quite bad, but my favourite phrase in this, it said the incident was classified by NASA as a Type B mishap. Which, according to NASA, covers incidents that cost between $500,000 and $2 million.
I'm always doing a Type B mishap.
Well, do you know what I was thinking? It's a good job they didn't choose numbers, because a Type 2 mishap is something completely different, isn't it?
It really is.
A number 2 mishap.
And what's a Type A? How much is a Type A mishap?
Well, I don't know which direction it's going in. Maybe a Type A mishap is just dropping one of the coffee mugs.
Even cheaper,
and Type C is like tripping over the Apollo 5 and that smashing.
Imagine how nervous you'd be if you realised it was you who'd done the Type B mishap, having to ring up NASA.
Oh, it's just ridiculous.
All right, Bob. So, hello, John. How you doing? Just.
I've got a Type B on the end.
just on the old Type B. Sorry, what was that? Type B.
Have you written it in the Type B incident book? The accident book.
Go and see, go and see your supervisor.
But NASA aren't the only ones who've had an accident. So Maston Space, with their Zero B. Well, I'm assuming it's pronounced Zero B because they've got a couple of other rockets that they call the Zombie and the Zodiac, but they spell them with an X. It should be X-Zombie and X-Zodiac. But this Zero is an X at the beginning of Aero, so I'm presuming it's Zero. What do you think?
We'll go with that.
Zero B. So the Zero B looks like it's had a bit of a crash, but they can't release any of the details because it's DARPA, the defence agency, that's paying for it. So it's kind of, they've got to keep it under wraps. So it's kind of come out as a little bit of a secret source has said that it's kind of had a crash. It wasn't destroyed, but they're not. I don't think they look as though they're going to repair the vehicle because they've still got Zombie and Zodiac.
But they did come out and say that, and I quote, "What we can say, though, is that the vehicle was not destroyed. There was no fireball, explosion, or fire associated with the event. We have no plans to repair the vehicle at this time."
So,
it's very sad.
And do you know, that's Zero B, but Zero A, do you know what happened to it?
Was that not destroyed in a crash?
It was destroyed in a crash, but what happened to all the bits?
Oh, I don't know.
They made it into their outdoor barbecue.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's the coolest barbecue on earth.
Can you imagine?
How do I get a steak off of that?
Yeah. So Zero A is now used to make sausages.
Orbital snags. I'm down with that. I tell you what, we should definitely make that a thing.
Yeah.
Let's buy old parts of rockets and build barbecues. Sell them online. Don't just throw it away.
Oh, I tell you what's one of the coolest things ever.
Go on.
Is the X-37B.
We'll be the judge of that.
Well, the X-37B is one of the only space planes I think it might be the only space plane that's out doing stuff at the moment. I mean, there's a few others, like the Dream Chaser or Dream Weaver. the Dream Chaser.
Oh, it's just like Garth Marenghi.
Yeah, and
the Dream Chaser. Okay.
And the Indians have got that test one that they did last year that was kind of like a little space plane.
So the X-37B, is this the one that's meant to be the US secret military?
Yeah.
Plane, and then it's not that secret anymore.
Did you like their picture of this is the home of the X-37B, like that?
I did like that.
And
it was kind of Alan Partridge.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was just like this. Not very secret at all. So
not really.
So that's been out in space for an awful long time, over 700 days. That's clocked up, which is obviously a record. Totally autonomous. So it's the only space plane that's ever landed totally autonomously, other than the Soviet Buran shuttle, which of course was the space shuttle that the Soviets built, that looked remarkably similar to the space shuttle. But it was actually a very different design. In fact, some would say it's probably better in some ways. Yeah, I know it's a bit controversial, but it was a good vehicle. But obviously, the Russians just simply couldn't. I mean, the Americans couldn't afford to do space shuttle, but the Russians certainly couldn't afford to do the Buran.
So just so I can get this, I've got a few questions for you, Matt.
Yeah.
White Knight, with old Branson's Virgin Galactic. How different is this to that? Obviously, this is not anything designed for commercial space flight. Am I right?
Yeah, no. So White Knight is the vehicle used to carry these rocket planes up. Sometimes. So, for example, Spaceship 1 and Spaceship 2, the White Knight carries that up through the Earth's atmosphere using conventional jet engines and then drops them off very, very high altitude, and then the spacecraft uses its rockets engines to do the last bit of the journey into space.
Right.
So it's just a way round that annoying thing of carrying all your fuel up there. So you don't need as much fuel on the space plane because you've got normal jet engines doing that bit of the work. So in fact, weirdly, they did use the White Knight to carry the X-37A, I believe, which were when the X-37A was the NASA version of the X-37B, which is the Air Force's version of this particular thing. And I believe that the sort of drop tests, the atmospheric drop tests that DARPA did back in 2004 were done with the White Knight. That obviously just asked Scaled Composites if they could borrow it, because it's a pretty good plane. I mean, X-15 was one of the only rocket planes to have ever flown into space.
Yeah.
And so, in fact, X-15's the only rocket plane that's flown into space on its own volition, if you see what I mean. So it's dropped from an enormous plane and then flies the rest of the way into space. I think it still is the only rocket plane that's gone into space. Obviously, the X-37 goes up on an Atlas V. Inside.
The pictures are so cool with the rocket on a plane, aren't they? Really weird looking almost, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. So, but yeah, when the X-37's inside the Atlas V's fairings, that looks pretty cool as well. So that seems to be the way that they're launching those type of things. But what's interesting about the X-37? Remember ages ago we said that they were testing the EM drive on it.
Yeah,
I don't really believe that.
Right. Why don't you believe it?
Well, because it's only appeared in the International Business Times as a thing, and what they have taken up is the Hall effect thruster that Aerojet Rocketdyne make, and that Hall effect thruster is used on a series of satellites, and some of those satellites actually. When they first launched, didn't make it into orbit properly and use those Hall effect thrusters, which is a type of ion drive. So, still pretty cool technology, but certainly not an EM drive.
Talking of cool technology, Matt.
Yeah.
What launches have we got this week? So
launches this week, I believe we have a Falcon 9.
Please say Falcon 9. Please say Falcon 9. Please say Falcon 9.
Falcon 9, which is carrying an Inmarsat 5 F4, and that should be going up on May the 15th.
Okay.
And as a tribute to my brother, who's 50 on May the 18th, which I can't quite believe.
Happy birthday. What's his name?
Richard Russell.
Shout out to Richard Russell. May the 18th, the Soyuz, a Europeanised Soyuz from Ariane Space, will be flying up and with SES-15 communication satellite from French Guiana again. Just so hopefully that won't be disrupted by industrial action like the last. Jamie, I've really got to tell you about my day of rocket science that I had at the Royal Institute, by the way. Oh, how was it?
Oh my God, it was so epic. It was literally 8.
What did you learn?
I learned, well, the very first lecture, there was a guy there called Bob who had been, who basically designed how ballistic missiles fall off aeroplanes without sort of getting caught up in the aeroplane.
Right.
But his hobby was making very, very light aeroplanes. And it's one of the most incredible demonstrations I've ever seen. It might actually, bear in mind, this was the Faraday Lecture Hall in the Royal Institute, one of the most famous lecture halls in the world. It was a privilege to be in there, but I think it might be the only time someone's flown a plane in there. So It was really cool. So he had this plane made of balsa wood, wings, massive propeller, right? And I'm looking at it, and then he sets it off, and the propeller starts going, and it flies so unbelievably slowly. And according to him, I had a little chat with him, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, it's in a zone of flight that's not really allowed." And it turns out that this plane that's pretty big, it's a pretty big plane made of balsa wood, weighs it weighs the same as a third of a sheet of A4 paper.
What?
And it's like the film that the wings are made from is made by DuPont, and it's the thinnest material that they can make. So it's the thinnest material that DuPont can make, and it's
third of a sheet of A4 paper.
Yeah, it's got like a propeller, wings, tail fin, rubber band. The thing, and the rubber band itself is special rubber that unwinds at a certain speed, and he's had to go through several batches to get the right one. So this guy enters competitions for indoor flight, and these things can fly around.
I want to see it.
Yeah, no, I don't think what's brilliant when you have something in science that's kind of at the edge of what's scientifically possible. It just looks peculiar. This thing looks so weird because it was going so slowly. I thought my mind had slipped into a weird dimension. It was just insane. It was absolutely brilliant, and the lecture was about why planes can't go into space, fly directly into space. It's really, really good. And Katie Coleman was there. She was the astronaut that we've talked about on the show, who was part of the shuttle mission that took the Chandra X-ray telescope up. And she gave one of those really inspirational speeches where you go, all astronauts are ace. They're kind of like just always the best people.
Very true. As we said before, they're the biggest rock stars on the planet.
Well, they're just always lovely people. They really get it. They really get it. And she had some very, very warm words to say about Tim Peake. She said she really enjoyed working with him on the astronaut training, and what a fantastic ambassador he was for space in general, and especially for Britain. So that was really, really cool. And she's played flute with Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull. And she plays she plays in Chris Hadfield's band.
I'm not ready. Jazz flute. I'm not prepared.
No, I'm not prepared. Oh, go on then. So so she didn't play any jazz flutes.
Wow.
Although I'm sure she had it stuffed up the sleeve of her flight suit.
Yeah, just normal. Incredible.
So I learned. Wow. I learned a lot of things. There's some really, really great things. We even had a debate about whether we should be sending robots or humans into space, and apparently this has been done a few times, and we voted for humans, but only just. It was a very close call, so humans into space rather than robots into space, and Chris Welsh and Stuart Eaves gave a very, very good account of both sides of the story. So it was
I'm happy to hear that, because I want to be one of them.
Yeah, so I've organised quite a few interviews with some of the people that were talking at that event, and so hopefully we'll have them later on. So,
well, you're just going to have to keep listening to the Interplanetary podcast. It's the only way.
Absolutely. And I've been invited to the Surrey Space Centre, which turns out is about 100 metres from where I'm doing this podcast right now here in Guildford.
Now you're showing off.
So you need to take the day off work, Jamie, and get yourself get down here and look at some CubeSats and stuff.
Well, that is ace.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh! Actually, do you know what? At the beginning of last week's podcast, we were talking about Cassini, and I said, wouldn't it be ace to meet a scientist who'd basically worked a lot of their career on Cassini? Yeah. Well, I did. Yeah. There was a couple there, and we'll get them on the show. But they'd worked on the Huygens probe, and they were going on about how many scientific papers, etc., that Cassini, and how proud they were of it. So
that's awesome. And we definitely need to interview them.
Yeah, and one bloke that had basically got into making satellites because of how inspired he was by Cassini itself. So yeah,
incredible.
Yeah, so really, really cool.
Well, watch this space.
Watch
Brilliant
this space.
stuff.
So Jamie, we better wrap this up.
We better wrap it up. Guys, thanks for listening, and once again, welcome to our new listeners. We hope we didn't put you off too much, and we hope to see you back next week. And please email us in any questions you have, any interesting space news that you want us to, basically talk rubbish about, and we will. So, Matt, if people want to get in touch with questions and queries and whatnot, where do they go?
They go to the Interplanetary, www.interplanetary.org.uk, or follow us on Twitter at InterplanityPod. We've had some great feedback, on this week, and it's been really, really, really kind of you all. Thank you very much. It'd be brilliant if you could subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you'd like to subscribe, and leave us some thumbs up. That'd be great. Really helps us, and really helps the show grow, and helps other people who've not heard about us get hold of us. The Interplanetary Podcast, putting the ace back into space. So we'll see you next week, podcasts.
See you next week, space freaks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.